been on there.
I think so. I sent the link, so surely at least some people, or at least he joined. But I guess anytime we can go ahead and get started. Okay. Here with head coach Brooke Storer. Brooke, Lady Texans are playing some postseason basketball. Can you give us a preview for the first round of the WBIT?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're playing in March, it's a big deal. And this our young group last year got some experience making a little postseason run, and it's a really good tournament. The NCAA took over and created this a couple years ago, and you look at the two teams that won it the first 2 years, and they've both been in the NCAA tournament. Illinois won it the first year; they've been in it the last two, and then Minnesota won it last year, and they're hosting first and second rounds this year. So I think there's great benefit for us to continue playing. Who is in a basically identical situation that we're in. So it's an opportunity for us to compete together again, to play meaningful basketball in March, and that's what you want. You want to be playing in March, and I think this is another opportunity for us to pursue a championship.
Yeah, looking at Rice, obviously that starts with the free throw line for them. There's so many just different players. They get to the line, it's pretty much automatic. What's the key of, again, making sure you're not getting them where they need to be?
Yeah, defend without fouling. I think they're very balanced. You look at their stats, and I think it kind of tells the story. But when you watch them play, you really see it. And their experience, they're older, they're balanced. They can hurt you in a number of different ways. They're very well coached. They defend really well. I don't know if they get a lot, as much credit defensively as what they deserve. They just don't make a lot of mistakes. And so you really have to find ways to beat them because they don't beat themselves. And I think that's why they've been so tough all year. And, they start the year 17-0 and lose their last one. We start the year 0-1 and win 17 straight. And then we both lose in the conference tournament championship game. And I think it's almost like somebody had a sixth sense of humor to put us matched up together. But I think it's a great test for us. It's a great opportunity for our Texas kids to go back and compete in Texas. It's an old Conference USA rivalry. Very well coached, very balanced. We're going to play really well on Thursday night on the road.
Seems like Adams impacts both sides of the floor really well for them. I think she leads her team in blocks, assists, obviously top two in the country, rebounding. It feels like a lot of different areas.
Yeah, she's like a Swiss Army knife. She does a little bit of everything and plays with an extremely high motor, high IQ kid, can score it, just a competitor. She's one of those kids that cuts you deep if you let her get the ball in her spots and, she gets her touches, or she just finds a way to get to the free throw line or the offensive boards. And I think she's really dangerous on the offensive boards, but she's versatile. She can do a lot of different things, and I think it's a difficult matchup for us, but we've got to do a great job of, having an awareness and, team defend to not allow her to get those touches where she wants them. But I think that's where their balance comes in. They've got a big post threat on the interior at the 5 with Hayes, and obviously you got Player of the Year and the American Flores at the point. They've got shooters. They're very, very balanced.
I was going to say with Ennis, what's the key of making sure, like when she gets a touch, to make sure the shot gets up difficult?
Yeah, I think we've seen that all year, and in our league, and then the non-conference we've played teams that we've got to focus on. Hey, you got to have a hand in the face, make catches difficult, and you got to make her uncomfortable. I think that's something that obviously we talked a little bit about yesterday, and we'll get more in detail today with our group. But she can't. It's transition. I think they're really good in transition. You've got to be really solid. Getting the ball slowed and not allowing her to find that three-point line in transition. And then when you help off of certain players, they put her in really good spots that doesn't allow you to help as much, and then they can find her on the backside. So we've got to do a great job of limiting her clean looks.
What were some of the takeaways from the championship game?
Yeah, we didn't score it very well. Unfortunate. The crazy thing is the team that had been the most dominant offensively all year long, I'd never dreamed that would be what not failed us, but we struggled. I think Missouri State did a really nice job defensively. I think all 3 times we played them, I thought we missed a lot of easy looks. You know, I thought we had a lead at the end of the first, and we'd missed some easy putbacks and some layups on some attacks. I thought it was a very physical game both ways. I didn't think either team, and both teams get to the free throw line a lot, and neither team could get there. And there's just a lot of contact. And I think in women's basketball, when you don't call those and teams don't get to the free throw line, you look up and it's a 30 point, you know, both teams are in the 30s in the fourth quarter. And that's just not fun basketball to watch. And my group never quit competing. They were fighting. They were talking in huddles, all those things that made them what they were all year long. Those things were still there. We couldn't make shots, and we couldn't get to the free throw line. We couldn't get an offensive rebound put back. We'd get some transition. We missed some open threes. You know, just all those things I think was a culmination of that offensively. But I thought we defended the heck out of it. You know, no one scored 50 points on us in 3 games. And our goal going into the tournament was, and we challenged them, you know, especially after no one made the all-defensive team and we led the league in scoring defense, was be the best, prove it, leave no doubt, be the best defensive team in the tournament. I thought we were. We needed to make a few more plays offensively on Saturday, and we couldn't. But I think the hard part is you don't want what this group has accomplished already. 26 wins, 19 straight. That's really hard to do. I don't care what league you're playing in. It's extremely difficult to do when everybody's coming at you, and they continue to find ways to win and continue to come together. And my hope is that, number one, they don't allow 40 minutes to determine and dictate the totality of the season and what they've accomplished, but no one else does. And honestly, I really don't care what other people think. I care what that group in that locker room and what we think and what we believe, because that's what we've been all year. But it's a hard thing to do. But the great thing about this is all those things we talk about all year long about sport is a great teacher of life, and we can invest and we can invest and we can invest and we can work as hard as we can and put everything, and these kids did, every ounce of everything they have into it, and you're not guaranteed the result you want. And the real true test of character and the revealing of that is who you reveal yourself to be after those moments. You know, we became a confident family who was consistently tenacious and resilient in pursuit of a championship through the course of this season. And that's who this group is. Can we be that in the toughest moment when you get punched in the gut and your heart's ripped out? Can you show up and be that this week? And that's what we have to be, because we're going into a really, really tough place to play where they've been really good all year long. They lost their last home game, but they're really tough, and it's going to be a great matchup, and I'm excited for the opportunity for a group to compete together again and to get that taste out of our mouth from last Saturday.
I know you mentioned it a little bit after the championship game, but I know obviously the NCAA tournament selection, it's outside your control, but I'm curious, like, when you have these teams that, I mean, Rice is on like a 22-game win streak, 28 wins, you guys have 26 wins, 19-game win streak, like you said, there aren't a lot of teams in the country that were capable of doing that. Like, do you feel like the mid-majors are really given a fair? I mean, like, basically, it comes down to, like, if you don't win your conference tournament, like, you're just not given.
You have to be really strategic in your scheduling, and I feel like, I mean, we had 3 Power Fours on the schedule. You have to. We can't lose at Arkansas, and you can't lose at ULM to start the year, and you almost have to be perfect in the non-conference. And so the teams at the mid-major level that have done that and gotten those at-large bids, you have to do that. But it's also a lot of those metrics are out of your control because of the strength of schedule in your conference. All those things play into that. And so you almost have to be perfect in those non-conference games and your strategic scheduling. But for us, you've got to continue to build for that last week in March, and I felt like we did. And I don't, looking back, we'll go back, and after the season and after all this is done, we'll go back and, assess those things. But, it's the game of basketball, and it can be, the other side of that, I've been on the other side of it, of won a conference tournament and knocked off a 1 seed as a 4 seed or a 6 seed in a tournament, and it was jubilation. And that's what the beauty of March Madness is. But there's also, when you're on the other side of it, it hurts and it's tough, but that's why we play the game. And there's 365 teams in Division I, and not everybody gets to do it. And that's why when we talk about the special nature and how hard it is to do this, that it doesn't, I mean, there's teams in the NCAA tournament that we've beaten. There's teams in the NCAA tournament that Rice has beaten. Is that fair? No, but as my parents taught me growing up, life's not fair. And how you handle it, how you respond, and the lessons that you learn from it and how you grow from it, that makes you who you are and the example that you set beyond that. So it's competitive character. You show up and compete regardless of the situation, regardless of the outcome or the result or what you're guaranteed, and you've got to meet it head on. And when you get punched, you've got to lean into each other and fight back and reveal who you truly are.
We talked earlier in the season about the idea of this group understanding a scout. I would imagine that this week in particular is probably like the biggest test of that. And coming off basically 2.5 months where you know exactly who you're playing. Now it's like you basically get 48 hours to figure out who a team is. Like, how important will these practices be to make sure we're locked in of who we.
Very important. That's a great question, but very important. And I think that will test some of the maturity of our group of being able to do that. And I think we've got a group that can do that. It's how quickly can you get them to lock into that. And we were able to get back on the floor yesterday and just get a ball in their hands and have them be together a little bit, and that was good. And we'll focus more strategic and schematic stuff today, and scout. But it's really important, but it's the same thing with the NCAA tournament. Like, you find out your matchup, and it's a quick turnaround. And so our young group had an experience with that last year of having to do that because we played pretty quickly, finding out on Monday. And so we'll have them ready. Staff's done a great job already. You know, there's some familiarity with us. They hadn't been in the league in the last couple of years, but same coach, and it's different personnel, but there's some similarities to the things that they're doing and some tendencies and things like that. But yeah, it's a great test, but it's also a great opportunity for them to grow and take the next step.
All right. Anybody on the Zoom?
I don't think there's anybody on there.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.